How often do you find yourself frowning upon the mindless utilization of space in your refrigerator? When was the last time you visited your storage room without your handkerchief held close to your nose, or without being apprehensive about tripping over something? Storage has always been an issue that has haunted us more profoundly than expected. This is primarily because we often lose sight of or turn a blind eye to certain fundamental factors like the amount of space available for storage, organizing the stored items neatly, and ensuring that the said items are kept from all kinds of damage in a spick and span storage space. In addition, we need to keep a track of all the kinds of items that are being stored, their respective quantities, and what all items presently remain with us in what quantities to ensure efficacious management of any inventory. In this session, we will be taking up all these concerns and chalk out the ways to manage your inventory. I am Tony Tom here to enlighten you on the effective ways to manage your inventory. If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, I want to request you to hit the subscribe button and turn on the notifications bell so that you don't miss out on any new update or video releases from Great Learning. If you enjoyed this video, show us some love and like this video. Knowledge increases by sharing, so make sure you share this video with your friends and colleagues. Make sure to comment on this video any queries or suggestions, and I will respond to your comments. Hello friends, welcome to this course on inventory management. So as the name suggests, we'll be talking here on this particular topic where to manage inventory, right? So what exactly is inventory and how are we able to manage inventory? So that is exactly what we'll be talking. So what is inventory? So inventory is actually nothing but what all we require or what all needs to be stored in order to get that particular thing out when required or when demanded. So that is exactly what inventory is. So for example, when you order something through your e-commerce platform like Amazon, Flipkart, or any other apps or any other softwares or any other platforms, you are delivering that particular item and you are getting that particular item delivered to your location within that stimulated amount of time period, right? So in order to get that particular thing done, you need to be having that particular product. You need to be storing that particular product, and whenever the product is being demanded by any customer, the company or the officials are required to ship that particular item to the required destination. So that is exactly what they need to be doing. So in order to do that, they should be knowing, or they should be keeping, or they should be having all the equipments or all the items that is to be delivered to that particular location. So they need to be making sure that all the equipments or all the necessary items are being stored so that whenever the demand for that particular item is raised, they are able to achieve that particular target or achieve that particular or address to that particular demands. So they need to be analyzing on what are the demands right now. Are we having that particular item for that particular demands, and how many quantities are we having? How often should we be able to refresh those particular things so that whenever the items are being replenished, we need to be storing it back again. So it is regarding all these things what we actually are going to be talking about in inventory management. So it is not only all about the finished products or finished goods. We'll also be needing to store items while the production is going on, right? So whenever you're actually producing any item, you need to be having raw materials. So depending upon what you're producing, the raw materials will be varying, right? So for example, if you're actually into a business of cooking, you need to be storing the raw materials like the grains, the ingredients, the spices, and all those things depending upon what you're cooking. So depending upon what you're doing, what your business is, maybe you're manufacturing shoes. So in order to have shoes, you need to be having the lace, you need to be having the sole, you need to be having the material, you need to be having the cloth, and all those things, right? So depending upon what all things are you up to or what all things are you doing, you need to be having all those necessary things in stored so that whenever the items are required, you're having it. So all these things, what is coming under inventory management is such things. So when you're actually having that particular demand, you should be storing it and you should be having that particular thing when the actual reason or when the actual time has come for it to be delivered to that particular occasion and it needs to be addressed. So that is exactly what inventory management is about in a brief. And let's move on to understand what exactly will we be covering in this particular course on inventory management. That is, let us look onto the agenda and see whatever are we covering. So in this particular course, we'll be first going through understanding what is inventory management. So by now we have briefly gone through what inventory management. So more about that in particular detail we'll be seeing in the first particular topic on this particular course on inventory management, which is nothing but what is inventory management. And after inventory management, or after understanding what exactly is inventory management, we'll be going to our second topic, that is nothing but objectives of inventory management. So what is the objective? What is the need of inventory management? Why do we need inventory management, and what are the benefits, or what are they actually aiming for? That's exactly what we'll be covering in the objectives of inventory management. And after that, we'll be moving on to understand the types of stock. So we already know that inventory is all about storing items. So here we'll be talking about what are the items that are being stored, what are the types of items that are being stored. So that's exactly what we'll be looking in types of stocks. And after that, we'll be moving to understand what are the various methods of inventory management that we'll be able to take into consideration, and how are we able to implement that. So we'll be looking at what are the various methods and what are the various strategies that we'll be able to follow, or what are the various approaches that we are having in our hand to handle or manage inventory. So that is exactly what we'll be covering in methods of inventory management. And next comes to inventory accounting. So whatever stocks we are having, we need to be having complete idea on how many quantity are we having, what all items are we having in hand, and how regarding that we should be knowing. That is what you should be knowing: what are you having, how much you are having, and when that particular item should be refilled. So whenever the item is going out of stock, you need to be refilling it, right? So in order to get that particular thing done, we need to have complete accounting done. So we'll be talking about inventory accounting in the second last topic. And finally, we'll be looking on categories of inventory. What are the various types of categories of inventory available, and how are we able to categorize the inventory or categorize the items that we are storing in our inventory? So these are all the various topics that we will be covering in this particular course on inventory management. Let's look at this and let's know more about inventory management by looking at all these topics one by one. What is inventory management? So we briefly know what exactly is inventory management. I asked you, when you're ordering something on the online platforms like Amazon or Flipkart, you are mentioned that you will be getting the particular product to your particular location within that specific amount of time. And they're actually showing whether that particular item is there available as a stock or they're actually out of stock. So we'll be knowing whether that particular item is there with them right now, or they need to be actually getting that particular item from the manufacturer. See, we are having all those ideas while we are surfing, or while we are searching for items which we need in these particular platforms, right? So we'll be knowing whether this particular item is there in stock or is out of stock. So regarding all those informations we are getting through the platforms whichever we are using to buy our products to the e-commercial platforms. So we know that they are actually storing it. So they're actually having an idea to store what are the items that they need to be storing and how many quantities are they supposed to be storing. So how are they actually doing it? So what exactly is the steps and procedures they're actually taking in order to get all these things done? So as I told you, the right example which I gave you right now is regarding a finished product which can be actually used by an end customer. So which can actually be used by them, right? So it is actually the final stage where the actual product is going to be sold to the customer. And to get that particular done, you need to be having that particular thing available, right? Only then you'll be able to get more sales. If your product is not available to the customers who are actually needing it, you will not be making any business, because even if you're actually making a great product, if the product is unavailable to the customers, they'll not be able to buy it. They'll not be even knowing that there is a particular product which offers these many solutions. So in order to get that particular thing done, you need to be having inventory, and you need to know how exactly are we able to manage the inventory. Only then we'll be able to maximize our business, maximize our profit, and also create a brand awareness and customer satisfaction. Whenever you require a product, you're actually getting that particular product. So in order to get that particular thing done, we need to be having a clear plan, how to execute it, and how can it be done, or how can it be managed in the most effective way possible. So even if you're actually a company which actually manufactures a product, And in order to get that particular item manufactured, it will not be done with one or two steps, right? You need to be having raw materials, you need to be having labors, and you need to be having several other elements or components which is required to get that particular item done as a finished product. So in order to get that particular manufacturing done, all these things are required. So where are you getting it from? You are ordering it from your vendors, right? So are the vendors actually having all these equipments in hand? And how are they planning, or how are they arranging all those equipments or all those items so that whenever you require all these items, they are able to deliver it to you so that you will be able to manufacture the complete item or the complete product which you're actually into your business. So how are the vendors knowing what are the components they should be having, and how many quantities need to be done or how need to be held in their particular area, right? So that whenever you demand or whenever you raise a request or whenever you raise or actually order to placed, so that the manufacturing process can be done at a smooth pace and it will not be interrupted. So how exactly are the vendors knowing it? So in order to get all these things done, they need to be managing the inventory. So how exactly is that done, right? So that's exactly what we'll be looking through. So inventory management is the practice of overseeing and controlling of ordering, storing, using and selling of company's inventory, right? So we need to be knowing when to order, how much to order, and we should be controlling that particular inventory. We should be able to manage, and we should be able to do all these actions in the right time so that none of the actions are affecting our business. We are able to deliver whatever we are required to be in the right moment, in the right time, so that our business is not getting affected, our reputation is not getting affected, and the actual buyers are able to get what they are actually requiring out of by getting a particular product delivered on their particular time. So that's exactly what we are actually looking at. And in inventory management, we ensure all the required items are being made available when demanded. So for example, if you're actually a manufacturing company manufacturing shoes or any particular item, let it be. So when you're actually manufacturing it, where let it be example that you're actually manufacturing a car. So when you actually manufacture a car, you need to be having the doors, you need to be having the structure, you need to be having the windshield, you need to be having the wheels and everything, right? So you need to be getting in thousands of components ready in order to get one particular or one single car manufactured, right? So whenever that process or manufacturing production line is going on, you need to be having all the necessary components which is required. So when the actual components which is required are delayed, the whole production process is interrupted. So that need not be the case. Whenever the items are demanded, you should be delivering it. And you should be delivering or you should be ordering that particular item by considering the lead period as well. The lead time is nothing but whenever you're placing an order, you'll not be getting that particular thing delivered to your location at that particular point of time. After ordering, maybe depending upon the item and depending upon the availability, you need to be waiting for 1 day, 2 days, or 1 week or 1 month. So based on the demand and based on the availability and based on the items which you're ordering for, it will be depending upon that. So you need to be having an idea when to order, how to order, and so that no delay of items are being delivered to you are being occurring. So that's exactly what we did right now by managing the inventory. And it ensures maximum utilization of the space in the warehouse to store more and to do so in an organized way. So when you're actually storing the items, you need to be organized. So whenever you are actually storing something in a place where you actually don't keep, you don't go to that particular location to get that particular item, right? So if you're actually organizing your inventory, you will be knowing where the product is actually. Whenever the demand is raised, you need to be knowing whether you're having the item, and if you're having the item, you need to be giving it that particular customer in the right point of time. So in order to get that particular thing done, you need to be organizing. If you actually have the particular item and don't know where it is, you will be spending a lot of time searching for it, and you will be spending a lot of time to confirm whether you're actually having a particular product. So you need to be making sure on all these things. At the same time, you should be maximizing your utilization of the space you're having. So in the small amount of space which you're having, you should be able to store maximum items. Only then you will be able to maximize the utilization of the space, and thereby within the maximum space you're having, you'll be able to get more output. You'll be able to organize, you'll be able to keep all the items necessary which are required, and you'll be able to deliver, or you'll be able to ship the items immediately when it's actually asked for. So inventory management plays on forecasting of demands and the right sales prediction, and only by following this help the customers or help the business to be run in the perfect manner possible. So they should be forecasting what would be the demand, and they should be predicting the sales for the particular month by using the data which you're actually having. So for example, whenever whatever business you're done, you'll be having a particular data. What would be the demand? What was the demand before? What was the demand for the past 6 months, past 1 year, past month? And what would be the demand? So by analyzing the trend, you would be knowing what would be the demand, and you should be able to forecast the things in the right manner, the right way, so that you are able to store all the items which are necessary. So whenever the opportunity is there, you will be able to pitch in and you will be able to deliver all those items, all those orders in the right possible manner, so that even then you'll be able to get new customers, new orders, and you can also build brand awareness, and you can also build that credibility within yourself, so that whenever the item is required, they can approach you and they'll be delivering the items to them at the right particular point of time. So you should be having an idea. You should be knowing how to forecast, how to predict, and how to store the inventory in the right time. And inventory turnover ratio enables us to evaluate the efficiency and effectiveness of managing inventory. So inventory turnover ratio is actually nothing but how often the items which is being stored into the warehouse are actually moving out. So if the inventory ratio is high, we know that whatever you're storing is actually immediately going out of the warehouse itself, so that you are actually getting money out of it. If you're simply buying, or if you're simply acquiring the items and if it is not going out, you are actually not making money. You are investing the amount, but it is actually like a dead money. You are investing the amount and the particular item is still with you. Only when the items are shipped and moved out, you'll be getting paid, or you'll be getting the maximum profit, right? So you need to be knowing what are the particular orders to be done, and is it actually required. So you need to be knowing how to order, when to order, and what exactly to order, so that if you're actually having a great inventory management, whatever you are keeping or whatever you are acquiring will be moving out of your inventory very often. And if a particular product or if a particular item is sitting idle for a long time in your inventory, you should be replanning or repurposing, or you should be taking steps, so that you are knowing that there is some problem with your management and there is some problem with your business, and you need to be working on that, so that whatever items you're acquiring is moving out effectively, efficiently, in the faster pace, so that you'll be getting paid and you'll be getting more business and more revenue by your business. And any shortage of inventory can cost a lot of your business or on the business opportunity you've had. So whenever you are actually having the particular demand and you don't have that particular option with you, so the actual market demand is going very high and you're not able to meet them, you're actually not having access to that particular item which is to be delivered. So what will happen? You'll not be able to perform, you'll not be able to make use of the market. So when the demand is high, if you're actually having that particular supply, you will be able to deliver and you will be able to make money out of it. But you should be having that particular item when the demand is high. So you need to be studying, you should be researching, and you should be making sure that what is the demand, how is the demand growing, and how effectively will you be able to achieve the demands, right? So that is exactly what we need to be doing. And in case you're actually not having that particular stock with you, you are losing out on a loss, right? Because that was a great business opportunity for you. If you were having those particular items, it was a great opportunity for you to fulfill the needs of lot many people, and you would be able to get into the business and get into or pitch into the business and excel in your business when none of them were having the particular stock. So you need to be doing a lot of market research and analyzing what would be the demand, what would be the trend like, and you need to be managing and you need to be stocking the particular item regarding that. And complex and operational procedural firm need to have clear inventory management system to eliminate the delays due to unavailability of materials. So for example, if you're into manufacturing business, so for example, if you're actually manufacturing car, the stages would be numerous. So you'll need to be going through one step, next steps, and the fourth, so forth, right? So maybe step 1, 2, 3, 4. So that like that there will be hundreds of steps, and that is not an easy process as well. But if you're actually into a small business, maybe you're having only 5 steps: step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5. So you would be knowing what exactly is the order, and you would be able to do that particular item. You will be able to know what are the item required, and you will be able to know when it is required in a very easy manner, because the operational procedure of your firm is very simple. It is actually pretty simple that you will be able to organize, you will be able to plan, and you will be able to implement it very easily. But when you're actually into complex operational procedural business or organization, you would be needing to have a particular team to make sure what is required, when is required, how it is required, and how effectively can all those raw materials and inventory managed. Because It is a complex procedure and the demand can be varying here and there based on the market demand as well. So you need to be knowing on all those things, and you need to be having a dedicated team in order to manage your inventory as well. Objectives of inventory management. What are the objectives? What is inventory management aiming to achieve by following inventory management, right? So that is nothing but objectives. So let us understand, or let us know what are the various objectives which inventory management is trying to follow or trying to get out by following inventory management. So inventory management ensures continuous supply of materials to avoid the delays in production or shipment. We already talked about that, right? So whenever the demand is raised, you need to be making sure that the item is there in stock and you are able to deliver it to those particular customers in the right time, in the right location, in the right condition. So in order to have this particular thing done, you need to be having the inventory. You need to be knowing the demand, and you need to be in a position where you are immediately able to ship the item or deliver the item to that particular location. So you will be thinking that it is the actual responsibility of the logistics and supply chain team, right? So the logistics and supply chain team will only be able to supply or will only be able to deliver those particular items to them when the demand is raised, only when you're actually having the inventory. So only when you're having the inventory and when you're able to ship it, the inventory and logistics and supply chain management will be able to come into picture and deliver it. So the first thing is that you should be having those particular items which is of demand in your warehouse, and only by having an inventory you will be able to do it. And you should be managing your inventory in the well effective and efficient way in order to achieve that as well. And the second objective is to avoid overstocking and understocking of materials. So we know that whatever inventory we are holding, it is actually the asset of the company, right? So if you're actually into a manufacturing company, manufacturing shoes or cars or any items, you're actually considering all those things as your assets. So whatever shoes you're manufacturing or whatever cars you're manufacturing, it is actually the asset of the company. Only by selling that particular item, you'll be able to gain profit, you'll be able to gain revenue, right? So all this inventory is your asset. So you should be knowing in how much quantity you should be owning or you should be storing your inventory. So how much quantity should be held in your inventory or warehouse. So you should not be understocking and you should not be overstocking as well. The problem with overstocking is that you are investing a lot many amount of money on this particular item, and if the particular item is not of demand, you have invested the amount and you are not able to get it out to your customers, and the amount which you have invested is actually locked. It is actually like a dead money which you invested, which is giving no return. At the same time, if you had invested the amount on the particular item which is of actual demand right now, you would have been able to get more revenue and more profit by investing that particular amount in the particular product which is of high demand. So you should be having that particular idea in mind so that you are not overstocking. You are only stocking or you're only holding a particular item in the required quantity. And by overstocking, you are actually reducing the particular investment strategy you are able to follow to those particular items which is of demand. And you're also eliminating the spaces which you're having in your warehouses. So whatever number of warehouses you're having, you should be actually managing the space as well. So when you're overstocking in a particular item which is not being sold for a longer period of time, you're actually not investing your time and money as well. You're also paying for the space. So the warehouse need to be cleaned and all those things should be done, right? So you're actually eliminating or you're actually wasting the space as well. Now coming to understocking. When you're actually not ordering the items to enough quantity, you're actually understocking it. You're not having the particular demand. When the demand is raised, you're only having few stocks or you're having no stocks. So if that is the case, you'll not be able to get a business, right? Whatever your business you're doing, you'll not be able to have transactions made possible. Only by having transactions and only by having that particular item which is of high demand, then only you'll be in the picture. Then only you'll be in the game, so that whenever the demand is there, you're having the items, and whenever the vendors or whenever the customers are actually needing for that particular item, they'll directly be contacting you because they know that whatever requirements you are having, you have it and you are able to deliver those particular items to them in the right point of time. So that is the second objective of inventory management. Coming to the third one, eliminate duplicating of ordering materials. So we know that if you're actually not working in a procedural way, if you're not organized, if your inventory management team is not having any rules or protocols or procedures or any of things that sort, you will not be able to perform in the most effective or most efficient way. That is because there's no coordination. You should be having that particular coordination, so that only then you'll be able to do or perform your inventory or manage your inventory in the best way possible. If not, maybe for a particular item, one particular guy in charge would be making the order, and that particular updation was not done within your team, and the same issue was being reflected to any other person, and the same person would also be doing the same thing, understanding that there are requirements for this and we are not having a number of stocks which is required for this particular time, and there is no order being placed in for that particular person. So the person will be thinking that there is no other order which is being placed, there is demand for this particular item and we are not having enough number of stocks. So the next person will also be making the same order. So that should not be the case, right? You should be having a clear clarity on what is the case, how much orders are being implemented, how much orders are given, how much orders are pending, and what is the kind of stock which you are having. So you should be having coordination, you should be having clear communications in order to manage your inventory as well. Next comes minimize damage, waste, and deterioration of stock materials. This is actually one of the major important point which you need to be going through, because whatever stock which you're actually holding, it need to be stored in the most best way possible, right? It need not be damaged, it need not be deteriorated, it need not be made as a waste, because you are investing money. The products which you are holding in your inventory or in your warehouse is because you're paid for that. You have paid for that particular product, you're storing it so that whenever the demand is raised, you are able to deliver it. So whenever you're storing the product, you should be making sure that it is stored in the right way possible. It is not damaged, there is no damage or there is no such conditions which is being prevailing to your items or which to your products which you are storing. So you should be having or you should be employing people to ensure that safety of that particular items as well. It should not be damaged while shipping, it should not be damaged, and while storing it should not be damaged. There should not be any dust. You should be properly cleaning all the items which is stored on your warehouse and all such things, right? So things should not be wasted. And all those such activities should be carried forward by inventory management, so that whatever amount you've actually spent to store or hold the items, you're actually able to do that in the best way possible. Whenever the order is raised, you're able to deliver the item. If not, the invested amount of money on that particular item is actually a waste, because the product is not being able to be delivered to your customers when required, and you've already invested that particular amount and that was of no use because the customers didn't get in the good condition. And coming to the last objective is that is what maintain systematic record of inventory. You should be having a particular record. When was the order given, when was the order placed, and when did you actually get the particular order delivered to your warehouse, and then how many quantity did you order. Did you get all those items which you ordered for? In what conditions are they ordered? And in what conditions have you got the items? So regarding that, you should be accounting it. How many numbers are there? Who all actually ordered for this? And when was the delivery done? And when was the shipment done? Regarding all those things, you should be having clear accounting. Only then you will be able to know what all are the items that you're actually having in that particular period of time for that particular item. So if you're actually needing to place an order, you should be first knowing whether you're actually having that product, and if you're having that product, you need to be knowing where it is being kept. So regarding all those particular details, you should be having a clear account so that you'll be able to manage your inventory in the best way possible.
Rightly determining your actual needs based on the demands. You know that you'll be getting demands for a particular item in a month, right? You should be knowing how much demand you will be getting in one particular month. So you should be knowing when to order that particular item, when to store that particular item, and how much quantity you should be ordering. So all these things comes under inventory management. The two types of stocks which are part of inventory management are cycle stock and safety stock. Talking about cycle stocks are actually nothing but stocks which are maintained in your warehouse to satisfy your demands. That is what a cycle stock is. Coming to safety stock. What is a safety stock? Similar to cycle stock, safety stocks are also maintained in your warehouse to maintain your demands, even when the things are going wrong. So what do you mean by even when the things are going wrong? Let me explain to you all those things with an example. Let's talk about the demand which you are having. Demand. Let's say for a particular item, you are having a demand of 20 units per day. That is 20 units per day. So in order to satisfy this need of having 20 units per day, you need to store at least 200 units for 10 days. So if the stocks are being arrived to your warehouse in every 10 days, you should be having 200 stocks, right? So let's assume that you are getting these stocks in for every 10 days. In that case, let me say for the number of days, it will be 10 days. So every 10 days, you will be getting 20 units stored in your warehouse by the logistic department. So by this data, you will be knowing that you are having a demand of 20 units each day and you should be storing for 10 days. So 20 into 10 is 200. So that is what the stock which you are holding for this particular item. So stocks held, that is 20 into 10, that is nothing but 200 units. So you are having 200 units held with you so that you'll be satisfying the need of 20 units per day for 10 days. That is because you are getting this stocks filled to your warehouse every 10 days. So that is how your demand is kept. So this is actually nothing but this is what is called cycle stock. So you know the demand and you satisfy the demand just by ordering what you need to be storing. So that is how you will be able to manage your cycle stock. And now let me explain to you why do you need safety stocks or what are the things that can go wrong. So this was the first case. Let me talk to you on the second case. Here, assume that the demand has gone higher very much based on some issue or market issue or some shortage or something. The demand has gone very high. So let's say the demand has been 25 units per day now. 25 units per day. That is, you are getting an order for this particular item. Each day, you need to be shifting or shipping 25 units of this particular item. And you will be knowing that the orders will be arriving only after 10 days. Okay, so each 10 days, you will be getting the orders. So 10 days. So even if you are getting the order after every 10 days, you will be having only 200 stocks, right? Because you have ordered only for 20 units for 10 days, that is 200 units. But now the demand has gone high. That is 25 units per day for 10 days would be 25 into 10, that is 250. That is what the stocks which are to be held are 250. So in order to satisfy this demand, you should be having a storage of this particular item by a minimum of 250 units to satisfy your demand. So how much it is missing? So you've already ordered for 200 units, but the demand is actually now 250 units. So you're lagging behind 50 units. So now you're missing out on 50 units in order to satisfy your demands. That is one case. Now let's talk about the other case. Coming to the third case. Say that the demand remains the same. That is 20 units per day. The demand remains the same. You know that you'll be getting a demand of 20 units per day and you're storing it for 10 days because you'll be having that stored. You'll be having that stored every 10 days. So 10 days, right? But here what happens? Due to some logistical issues or some other issues, the order was not getting arrived at your warehouse after 10 days. It took 2 days more. It was only delivered to your location on the 12th day. So due to some errors, we'll not be able to predict everything, right? So the stock was not arriving on the 10th day. It was arriving only on the 12th day. So the demand would be 20 into 12. That is because you need to be satisfying the demands for the next 2 days as well, even if you're not having the stock. So that is 20 into 12. That would be 240 units. But now instead of 240 units, you're only having 200 units. So here you're missing out on 40 units. See, these are all the things that can go wrong while you're planning your inventory. There is one more case which you should be considering while you're managing your inventory. That is when both the things go wrong, where the demand is going higher and also the inventory is not being stored in the right time. So in the 10th day, if it's supposed to be coming on the 10th day, it is coming on the 12th day. So what if both these things are happening at the same time? So let me consider that as well. That is the fourth case. That is the demand has gone high for 25 units per day, and also you're not getting the stock on every 10 day. It is only on the 12th day you're getting the stock. That is 12 days. So 25 into 12 would be 300 units. So here in this case, in order to satisfy the demands, you should be having a minimum of 300 units. But you're only having 200 units and you're missing out on 100 units. See, 300 minus 200 would be 100 units. In order to satisfy the demand, you should be having 100 more stocks. So that is why it is important to have safety stock with you apart from the cycle stocks. So cycle stocks will always be satisfying the demand. But what if things are going wrong? What if the demands are varying? What if the stocks are not being arriving at your warehouse on time? So these are the things that you should be considering while you're planning or managing your inventory. So it is always better and it is always advised or recommended for you to have both safety stock as well as cycle stock. Coming to the methods of inventory management. What are the methods in which we'll be able to manage our inventory? Let's have a look at that. The alphabet small s represent trigger point or reorder point when you should be ordering or reordering your items to your inventory to manage your demands. And the alphabet Q in SQ denotes fixed quantity, that you're ordering this particular item in a fixed quantity. That is what the alphabet capital Q represent. What the alphabet capital S represent is that the orders will be varying based on the inventory level. How much stocks or how many units are you having on that particular item? So based on the item or based on how much you're having and how much more you need to be having in order to satisfy the demand. So based on these value, it will be varying. So if you're ordering on a varied quantity, it can be represented as capital S. That is what the letters denote. That is small s for trigger point or reorder point, capital Q for fixed quantity, and capital S for varying quantity. Now let's talk about each method separately. I've represented all this information in a tabular form so that you will be able to understand the similarities and differences between these two methods. Talking about SQ method. Here, the inventory will be ordered or the order will be placed only after reaching the trigger point or reorder point. So that you'll only having the minimum stocks in your warehouse, you need to be storing more quantities. So when that particular point arrives, only then they'll be ordering the next inventory. So that is what it is meant by trigger point or reorder point. The next one is continuous review method. In continuous review method, it simply means that it will be keeping track of all the inventory which is being stored or which is being left on the inventory or in the warehouse. So how much are you having? How much you need to be having? Is it okay to satisfy your requirements or your demands? So it is a continuous review method in order to analyze your requirements and whether it is satisfying your demand. The next one is we'll be ordering only in fixed quantity. Say you need to be having a minimum of 200 quantity of each item and it has got the replenished point or reorder point or trigger point, and when you reach that, the order will be placed based on this particular number. So it will be ordered in fixed quantity, for example 200 units in our case. It is actually a fixed quantity and it is not varying. Here we are not considering the demand or we are not forecasting the demand. We are having a fixed quantity which you should be satisfying, you should be storing in SQ method. So that is why we'll be ordering in fixed quantity. The next advantage of having SQ method is that it will be simple to implement. You know that how much you should be ordering in your domain, right? Whenever the reorder point or trigger point is set, you know how much you should be ordering. You don't need to be calculating or you don't need to be thinking of any of these things because you know you're ordering in fixed quantity. So whenever the trigger point is hit, you will be ordering in a fixed quantity and it is very simple to implement. The next point is predictable for suppliers. Here, since we are ordering in fixed quantities, the suppliers would be knowing our demand. So whenever we are placing an order, the suppliers would be knowing we'll be ordering in a fixed quantity and it will be easy for suppliers to understand and predict the amount of units which we require, and they'll be able to supply those things to you very easily because they already know how much you're going to be ordering. The next point is not precise. SQ method is not at all precise because it is not considering the demand. Whenever the trigger point is set, the order is being placed for fixed quantity. Here the demand is being not considered. Sometimes the demand may not be that high, even then you are ordering a lot of items. Your expenditure is becoming more because you may not be requiring those many quantities. So based on the demand, if you are not ordering, then you can have loss. At the same time, if you're ordering in fixed quantity and sometimes the demand can go even higher. At that time, when the demands are higher and you're only having this particular amount of stock, you will not be able to implement or you'll not be able to satisfy the demands for the customers. That is why it is told that is not precise or this method is not precise at all. And thereby it is not efficient. So if you're not able to satisfy the customer needs, you'll not be working efficiently. At the same time, if you're over ordering, so since you're ordering in fixed quantity and you may not need that much quantity, so you're buying more and you're keeping more and you're storing more when that is not required. That is why it is told it is not efficient. Similarly to SQ method, we are having SS method. Let's understand the differences between SQ method and SS method. Similar to SQ method, in SS method also, we are having the reorder point or trigger point. When the reorder point or trigger point is hit, only then it will be placing the order. And this is also a continuous review method. We'll be keeping track on how much inventory are we having, how much inventory should we be having, and will this inventory be satisfying our demands. So it is a continuous review method. The next point is that the orders will be varying in quantity based on the requirement. So if you're having the inventory level in order to satisfy the demands, you'll not be ordering. And if you're falling slightly behind the inventory level, you'll be ordering only in order to meet the demand. So you'll be understand the demand, and in order to satisfy the demand, how much you should be having, how much more you should be having. Only that particular amount of units will be ordered in this SQ method, so that you'll not be spending more. The next point is not that simple to implement. This is not that simple to implement because whenever the trigger point is hit or a reorder point is hit, you need to be understanding or you need to be calculating the demand. How much would be the demand? You need to be forecasting all those demands so that you will be able to rightly implement or rightly get the order placed for the right quantity which you are actually requiring. So it is not that easy to implement because you need to be calculating all those things. And also, it is not that predictable for your suppliers. This is because you're ordering in variable quantity. Since you're ordering in variable quantity, the suppliers will not be knowing how much quantity are you needing. So based on this, the supplier is also going to face a difficulty in this. The next point is that SS method is a precise system. It is because you're only ordering for the demand. So you're knowing the inventory level in your warehouse. You're knowing how much you should be having or how much you should be storing in order to meet the demand. You're not ordering more or you're not ordering less so that you'll be able to spend less on inventory and no need to stock or overstock on the items that you're requiring. At the same time, even if you're not ordering in a huge amount, you'll be able to satisfy the demands of your customers. That is why it is a precise system. And if you're following this SS method, it will be more efficient because you're not spending more on inventory. You're not buying and keeping a lot of inventory, but you're keeping it only for the demand. So you're understanding the demand, you're keeping for the demand, and you're selling all the items which is being demanded. So you're not overstoring, you're utilizing your space, your money, everything very efficiently by following this SS method.
JIT, that is nothing but just in time. So we are actually spending a lot of money on storing the item, right? So here in just-in-time approach or just-in-time methodology, we are trying to eliminate that. So for example, if you're actually needing a particular item, that particular amount of money you're investing on storage and all those things can be eliminated if you're actually following just in time. So whenever you require the item, you're actually making necessary arrangement so that only at that particular point of time the items are being delivered to your location where you actually require. So for example, taking the same example here as well, if you are actually into a car manufacturing business and you actually need a lot of items, right? So you need to be having the doors, you need to be having the bonnet, the bumpers, the rubber beadings, the wheels, etc. There are many thousands of miniature items which you require for manufacturing an entire car, right? So in order to get or in order to store all these items in your warehouse would be really hard. And in order to manage your warehouse and manage your inventory in such a scenario would be really difficult. So in such situations, what you'll be able to employ or what you'll be able to interact or what you'll be able to take into consideration is just in time, where you need not be actually storing all these items. You can make necessary arrangements so that whenever you require all these items, all these things are being delivered to you at the right time. So in the production line, whenever you require, at that particular point of time, it is being delivered to you. So that is exactly how just in time, that is JIT method of inventory management works. So following just in time allows companies to save a significant amount by reducing the storage and wastage in the inventory. So the first thing is that we are not storing any inventory. So I'm not saying that we're not storing any inventory. Maybe we'll be storing the absolutely necessary or absolutely important parts, or maybe the most important parts will be stored by our inventory or by our warehouse as well. So apart from that, there'll be a lot of other components as well, right? So all those things are not being stored in our warehouse or in our inventory. So all those items are only being delivered when it is actually required, so that we'll be able to save a lot of money on that. We are not buying the product, we are not storing the product. So whenever we are buying, we are actually implementing or we are actually making use of the product, so that that lag is not there. So that the amount of money which you are actually spending is actually going out immediately, and we need not be storing as well. At the same time, since we are actually not storing it, we are actually having no wastages. So when we are actually storing, there might be cases where things can go missing, things were not stored or held in the warehouse or inventory in the right position, and all the precautions or necessary actions were not taken, and all such scenarios can be coming up while you're storing, or while if you're actually not managing your inventory well efficient, right? So all these things can be eliminated if you're actually following just in time, because when you require, it is the point of time when it is actually being delivered to you. So the necessary items are to be delivered to the location only at the time of production process. That's exactly what I've mentioned right now. When the production process is actually going on, that is the time when you require. So, and that is only when it is being delivered to you. So you need not be worrying about storing it, about about the spoilage, damage, or all the deterioration that can be happening in your warehouse. So all these things can be eliminated, because in the production line, when you require it, that's exactly the time when you get the product, so that you need not worry on all these things as well. You can completely focus on your core priorities. So that's exactly what just in time offers for you. Storage costs, insurance costs, maintenance costs, all these can be minimized by following just in time. And that's the most best advantage that you can get by following just in time, because there is no storage cost. You need not be storing it. And since you're not storing it, you need not be maintaining it. And since you're not maintaining it and you're not storing it, the insurance cost which is associated with your warehouse and inventory will be going down. So if you're storing, you need to be having space for that. You need to be employing laborers in order to make sure that all the items which are stored are in the right condition, and no theft or no damages are being imparted to all your equipments, and all such costs are associated with that as well. And cleaning, maintaining, mapping, accounting, and all those things, right? Since you're not storing, you can eliminate all those things. And since you're not storing things, there will be no chances that the items which you stored are being spoiled or being damaged. So wastage can be minimized, because you're not storing any item in the first place as well. And since you are not storing, and since there is no wastage, there is no risk at all. So you can take advantage on that as by paying minimal insurance for your items which you are storing, because you're only storing the items which you require for the core important purpose. And next comes just-in-time offers to liquidate the inventory, as we store only the necessary items and the wastages will be minimal. So I told you that we are not storing here, the wastages will be minimal because of that. And the main advantage is that we can liquidate whatever we are having. So liquidity is one of the most important factor, right? Even if you're having a lot of asset, lot of money, but if you're having no cash in hand, you'll not be able to make a lot of things possible, right? So you should be having that liquidity. Whenever you're in crisis, you should be having money. So in order to have money, you should be having liquidity. So if all your money are being invested on your inventory, you'll be getting only that particular amount only by selling your inventory or selling your product or by using your product, right? So only then you will be able to liquidate, and only by selling that particular product you'll be able to liquidate your money. And that is not the case in just in time, because the amount of money which you invest for the products which you are actually ordering for JIT just in time are being produced or are being sold or are being utilized at the moment when it is actually arriving. So there is not wastage or there is no wait for the money to be converted. So that is one of the most advantage of having just in time, that is JIT. And while implementing just in time, you need to make sure that all the things are planned and coordinated accordingly, so that even a slight delay in the arrival of those items can completely affect the manufacturing process, the production line, and the complete business and complete demand can be going down as well, because you are not able to achieve that particular target, because the items are not being arrived to your particular location when you actually require it. So any such incidents can cost a lot for your business, and you can also lose out on a great opportunity for you as well. So when you're actually implementing JIT just in time, you need to be making sure that all such things can be eliminated and all things are being well maintained and properly managed, so such incidents are not coming. And this is one of the most risk factor which is associated with just in time. Economic order quantity. By now, we know that in inventory management, we should be having complete track or complete account on the number of products we are having, types of products we are having, and the quantity in which we process in the inventory in our warehouse, right? So we should be knowing, or we should be having an idea on all such things, so that we are knowing when we should be reordering. So based on the market demand, we'll be redoing the research. We'll be knowing what would be the demand. We'll be predicting the sales, and we'll be forecasting, and all such things are happening. So based on that, we'll be setting a target or setting a area where we should be having this many quantity of this particular item, and for particular item B, we should be having this many number of quantity. So based on various products, we should be having that, and based on the complete transactions which you're actually making, the number of quantity which you process in your inventory would be going down based on the transactions. So more the number of transactions you're having, lesser the number of products which you are actually processing in your inventory. So based on this, you should be refilling your inventory, or you should be getting or reordering the items, so that whenever the demand is there, you are able to get it to your customers. So that is the kind of approach that we follow. So, but apart from that, we should be looking into various aspects as well. So that is exactly what we'll be looking at: economic order quantity. In economic order quantity, orders are done on a specific quantity which brings in only minimum expense while ordering. So we should be ordering in specific quantity, maybe in bulk, maybe in huge quantities. So while ordering, if you are actually ordering a few quantity, maybe the price which is being allotted for a single unit will be high. But if you're actually buying it in a bulk, we'll be able to get it at a cheaper price than buying in small quantities. So we should be considering that as well. So if you're actually buying in bulk, we'll be able to get that. So the number of orders which need to be placing would go down as well. But if the number of quantity is going high and the orders coming less, how much cost are we getting? Will it be better if we order thrice in a year, at the same time reducing the particular quantity? You should be trying on all those factors as well, in how much quantity should we order, how many times should we order, and what is the exact time to order. So by understanding that, we'll be able to more efficiently and effectively manage our inventory. And the cost associated with ordering is that carrying cost and ordering cost. So these two costs are considered into picture or taken into consideration while the ordering or while the reordering is done, in order to make sure the particular item is stored in the inventory in the particular quantity. So the cost which is associating with the ordering is that carrying cost and ordering cost. So what exactly is carrying cost and ordering cost? The cost associated with shipping and labor is coming under ordering cost. So while you're ordering, the complete product should be shipped, and in order to get that particular thing shipped, you need to be employing laborers. You need to be making sure that they are actually making the transaction possible. They're actually sorting the products, packing the product, and making the shipment process easier. So the cost associated with ordering is that shipment and labor cost. And what about carrying cost? In carrying cost, what are coming? Warehouse charges, maintenance, storage spaces, spoilage, and all those things can be coming while you are storing your inventory. So you need to be paying for that as well, right? So that is nothing but carrying cost. So what is the holding cost? So in order to hold your item in your inventory, you should be paying for the space. You need to be storing, you need to be making sure that there is no wastage and there is no spoilage being done, and the items are not affected, the conditions are very perfect, and all those things should be maintained, right? So for that, holding cost or carrying cost need to be paid. So these both are being taken into consideration. So if you're ordering very frequently, you should be having higher ordering cost, because the number of costs or number of orders which you're placing in a year is huge. So the ordering cost will be going high. That is for shipment and labor. If you are going down on that, you might be thinking of ordering in bulk quantity. So in ordering in bulk quantity, what we need to be doing, we need to be storing. We need to be having the space. We need to be paying for the kind of amount for which we need to be making sure that there is no spoilage, there is no wastage, and all those things are stored in the right way possible. So that is all about economic order quantity, knowing how much quantity to be ordered and in how frequency should it be ordered.
Inventory accounting. So we know whatever we are storing in our warehouse as our inventory, we need to be knowing what all items are we having. Are we having the demand items? So which is of high demand right now, which is of high trend right now, so which people are actually requiring. So do we need that, or do we have that stored in our inventory or warehouse? So in order to get that idea, we need to be having accounting.
what are items are we stored in this particular warehouse, so that if that particular demand has been raised, are we able to fulfill or are we able to address to that particular issue. So in such scenarios, we need to be storing such things, such items which is of high demand. And even if we actually store that particular item in our inventory, it can be made possible only by making sure that right accounting is made possible for all the items which are being stored. If not, we might have already stored those particular items in our inventory, but we have no idea on how many quantities are there, what are the other items which is being stored, and we'll not be having any data on such activities as well. So even if you store those particular items in your inventory, when the need is actually there, we will not be able to serve to those people who are actually requiring these particular items. So we need to be having a completely clear accounting on what are the items which are being stored in your inventory and in how much quantity are they being stored. And when an order is being placed, the items will be shipped from our inventory. So when the item is being shipped from our inventory, we need to be reducing the quantity based on the orders which are being placed. So is that actually happening properly? So whenever the orders are being placed, it is actually tracking. So we need to be knowing how much products are coming in, how much products are going out, in how much quantity are they coming in how much quantity are they going out. So all such things need to be accounted. Only then we'll be able to manage our inventory in the most effective and efficient way possible. Coming to the first one, in inventory accounting, that is nothing but FIFO. That is nothing but first in, first out. Here, a company which follows this particular strategy of FIFO, first in, first out, here the company will be using, selling, or releasing or moving out these particular items from their inventory based on the time which they actually acquired it. So the items which they acquired first will be going out first. So that is exactly the kind of methodology or principle which is being followed in wherever area you go. If you go to a hotel and order food, the food on the table will be served for the people or the customers who had come to the restaurant initially. And the customer who has reached the hotel right after reaching that particular thing will be served only second. So that is actually nothing but first come, first serve principle. And that is exactly the companies will be following if they are actually accommodating FIFO strategy in inventory management. So whichever items they are acquiring first will be moving out of their inventory first. So all the items which they are acquiring later stage will be moved out only after the previously stored inventory items are moved out of our inventory. And therefore, all the items which are present in our inventory would be recently produced, purchased, or acquired. And this helps to make sure that all the items which we are currently having in our inventory, which is to be sold to our customers, are of high quality and of recently produced. Because all the previously produced items are moved out, and no particular stock will be kept or held in our inventory for a longer period of time, because all the items which were produced or acquired first would be moving out of the inventory first, and only then the other products will be transported or shipped to our customers. So that is exactly the reason why all the items which we are keeping in our inventory would be recently produced or purchased or acquired. And FIFO makes it possible to get the materials out before the sell by or use by dates. We know that there will be manufacturing date printed on each of the product, and there will be also expiry date. So the particular item will be having an expiry date by which the product should be consumed. And after that, the product can't be consumed, and the actual producer or the supplier of that particular product won't be able to sell the product as well. So if you're actually following this particular method of first in, first out principle, you will be able to achieve that. You will not be able to sell expired products, and you will be able to sell the products within the expiry date and use by date, so that you won't be actually wasting or spoiling any inventory which you are storing in your inventory, so that the spoilage can be reduced, the kind of loss can be reduced, and you're actually able to liquidate all your inventory in the right time as well. So that is also one advantage that you'll be able to follow by following FIFO. And FIFO also helps you to control the price even during the time of inflation. That is mainly because when the price is going very high, all the other producers or customers will be getting the item at a higher price. And at a higher price, if you're actually selling it, you will not be able to sell it to the right customers in the right time, in the right effective way, because the customers will not be able to afford that particular item. So in such scenarios, if you are following first in first out methodology, you won't be able to completely get affected by this particular inflation, because you have already been storing that particular item beforehand. And since you're storing it beforehand, you are getting that cheaper price, and you can also put a discount on the current market price, and thereby you can get more and more amount of revenue and transactions and profit coming into your account by following FIFO as well. Next would be LIFO, last in first out. A company which follows LIFO would be selling, disposing, or using their inventory which they stored in their warehouse. They would be selling it or shipping it out for the items which they acquired very recently. So they'll be able to store, or they'll be able to sell, or they'll be able to move out all the items which they stored very recently by keeping all those items which they had actually been storing for a longer period of time previously. So that is the kind of approach the companies will be taking, which follows LIFO, that is last in first out. So even if you're actually holding a lot of inventory even before acquiring it, the company will be able to sell, or the company would not be minding in order to sell the products or move or ship out of the product which they actually acquired very recently as well. Companies which follow LIFO would be into large scale business, as they would be able to get all the items out of the inventory irrespective of the time of acquiring that particular item. So basically this is because they actually doesn't care about what is the time or when is the actual product being moving on, because that is the kind of business they're having. That is the kind of volume they're having in their business. So irrespective of the time of arrival of that particular item into their warehouse or inventory, they're actually very sure that they will be able to get all these items out of their warehouse or out of the inventory and liquidate these particular things, because there has been huge volume of business and they actually are able to get these particular items to the customers even before the use by or sell by dates. So in that kind of scenarios, which companies are having, or which companies are having a business of huge income or huge revenue or huge transaction, in such cases, LIFO would not be having any problem or would not be causing any problem to those companies, and they'll be able to liquidate the items, liquidate the products, and also sell the particular items to the customers within the sell by or use by dates as well. LIFO is not a good indicator to value the inventory, as you would be adding the oldest inventory which may not be of the value at the time of validation. So as I've already mentioned, the companies which is performing on large scale, which is of having huge volume of business, would be able to implement this. So if the company is actually not having huge volume of business and the number of transactions which they are actually getting on daily basis are low, in such cases this can be a problem. If they are actually not able to move out or sell out these particular items by the use by dates or sell by dates, then that will be creating a lot of problem. And even the time of accounting or validating all the assets which you are processing at the time of validation. In such scenarios as well, if you're not moving out your products on time, then the inventory which you are holding will not be of any value. But while using the validation or valuing your assets during that point of time, you will be considering that as well. And this is not a good indicator, right? So even when you're actually not having value for that particular item, which you have already stored in your inventory, is of no value, and this will be taken into consideration while the accounting is done for LIFO. Even when the particular item is not of value or is useless, even then those particular things or items will be considered as valuable to the company. And this is a wrong methodology or wrong strategy. The kind of according and the kind of indication that this particular approach may be giving will be wrong. And LIFO can bring in lower net income due to additional taxation which is included. So we already know that by following LIFO, all the items which are present in our inventory will be accounted. So sometimes the particular inventory which you actually process in your warehouse will be considered as an asset, but not always it will be your asset. Because if the product is actually expired, if the use by dates and sell by dates are actually passed, then the particular item which you are actually storing is of no value. The kind of amount you actually have invested on those particular item have gone on vain because you'll not be able to sell it out. You'll not only be able to liquidate the particular item, you're also paying for the space, cleanage, storage, and also maintenance of that particular item, even when the product is of no use, of no quality. So that is the kind of things that can happen in LIFO. And since you're actually accounting all these items as your assets, your net income will be going down because the kind of taxations that you will be needing to pay in LIFO would be high, since all your assets and liabilities would be coming to picture as assets, because that particular item which is past the use by and sell by dates would be considered as well. Categories of inventory. We know that we are storing lot many items in our inventory so that when the demand is raised, we will be able to supply, or we will be able to address to those demands and make use of that particular business opportunity and make money by providing those particular items on the right time to the right people in the right location in the right condition, right? So all these items are being stored in our inventory. So how will we be able to categorize the inventory? What are items are we storing, and in which all category are they falling under? That's exactly what we'll be discussing in this module on category of inventory. So various categories involves raw materials, work in process, finished goods, and merchandise. So these are the four various categories which I have put forward for you on categories of inventory. Let's look at these one by one. Coming to raw materials. Raw materials is the primary material purchased for the manufacturing or for the production process for the happening of the particular product. So while you're actually making something, the particular product is not being produced as a single unit. So maybe the product is actually transformed from lot many materials by addition of many materials, addition of many components, and such many things are happening, right? So in order to get one product done, you are actually requiring raw materials. Raw materials can be water, power, flour. So all these things can be coming under as raw materials. For example, so if you're actually into baking business, you need to be having all the raw materials regarding to cook that. So for cooking, what all things you need to be having flour, salt, water, spices, and vinegar, and all these things are happening there. So all these elements, all these components are being considered as raw materials. And these raw materials are put in various aspects, in various ratios to get the particular product done. So in order to get the particular product done, we need to be having raw materials, and raw materials are nothing but primary materials purchased to have that particular process done to get the final output. And these materials are subjected to undergo several stages of process to be made into a finished product for the usage of the end customer. So just by having raw materials and putting it together, we'll not be getting anything out of that. In order to cook a biryani, you can't just simply have the rice and tell that, come, let's have a biryani. So you need to be cooking it. You need to be having all those spices included. You need to be having the meats included, and you need to be having all the ingredients which you require. So by simply doing that, we'll not be having, by simply having raw materials, we'll not be having. It is undergoing transition. It is actually undergoing a lot of stages and processes so that, the final product can be achieved by using these many raw materials. The next one would be work in process. Here, in work in process, the products include semi-finished product or unfinished product. They're actually not a raw material right now. They're actually in the process which is to be transformed to a final product. And goods in process are not ready to be sold to the end customers because it is actually not completely ready. It is actually in the process. It's actually in the process of transformation from being a raw material to a finished product. In work in process or goods in process, it is actually not falling under the category of raw material as well as a finally finished product. So it is actually a stage in between. It is actually in the transition. It is actually in the transition phase from the raw material to the complete product. And goods in process represents raw materials in the process of being transformed into a finished product, which I've already conveyed right now. Next comes finished goods. Finished goods are 100% ready goods which can be now sold to the end customers. So here, in the finished goods category, the complete raw material is completely being transformed into a completely ready product, thereby the product can be sold to the end customers and is ready to be used by the end customers. And here we'll be able to make the transactions made possible, or the complete product which we have already transformed can be sold to the end user, and thereby you can liquidate your inventory. So that is exactly what happens in finished goods. And in this category, you are actually able to turn out that particular inventory into a particular amount of money, and that is what we are able to liquidate our inventory by using in finished goods. So that's exactly what finished goods is. By this stage, the item has undergone complete transition from being a raw material to a finished good. So like I said, in the raw material stage, raw materials would be going through a lot of phases, production processes, production stages, and all these processes have been completely done by reaching into finished goods, and it is 100% ready, which can be sold to the end customer. And next comes merchandise. Merchandise refers to the finished goods which are bought from a supplier, which is to be sold on a future sale. So here the inventory would be of completely finished products. So completely finished product will be stored or will be purchased from the supplier and will be stored, so that the people or the business guy will be able to actually make another sale out of this. So they're actually buying in a bulk quantity and a wholesale manner, and they'll be selling it to a retail customer or also for the end user customer. So that is how merchandise will be working, and these are the various 4 categories of inventory. By now, we have come to the end of this course on inventory management. So what all did we exactly learn in this particular course on inventory management? We started off by understanding what exactly is inventory management. It is nothing but managing, controlling, and having a complete control on the purchase, buying, acquisition of the materials, and selling and usage and storing it as well. So when the demand is kept, or when the demand is raised, you are able to actually sell it or ship it out to the customers and thereby bring in business. That is actually inventory management in a single sentence. And actually then we went on to understand what are the various objectives of inventory management. What are the various objectives? We came to know that we are actually able to make use of the business opportunity here. Whenever the demand is raised, we are actually able to ship the particular item in the particular flow, in the particular time itself. And we are actually able to take up the opportunity, and there is no delay which is being happening. So all the storage, wastage, and deterioration of materials can be avoided. So all these are the various aspects or the objectives of inventory management as well. Then we went on to understand what are the various types of stocks. We talked about cycle stocks and safety stocks. After that, we went on to understand what are the various methods of inventory management. We dealt on SS method, SQ method, just in time, and also EOQ, economic order quantity, and we understood what are the various methods of inventory management and how we'll be able to implement and what all kind of approach are we having by following all these 6 methods. Then we went on to understand inventory accounting, in how many ways we'll be able to account. How are we able to tally, or how are we able to track all these things, and how are the items being shipped, and what are the items which is being shipped, and in which order is it to be shipped. So we talked about LIFO and also FIFO. That is nothing but first in, first out, and last in, last out. Then finally, we went on to understand what are the various categories of inventory. So we are storing a lot many items in our inventory, right? So when the demand is raised, we are able to ship it out to our customers, and we are able to make use of the demand and make use as a business opportunity as well. So how are we categorizing the inventory which we actually are storing in our warehouse? So it can be classified as raw material, finished goods, work in progress, and also merchandise. These are the various 4 categories which I have mentioned in this particular course on inventory management, on categories of inventory management. So that's exactly what we covered in this particular course, and I hope you have got a completely clear idea on inventory management as well. If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, I want to request you to hit the subscribe button and turn on the notifications bell so that you don't miss out on any new update or video releases from Great Learning. If you enjoyed this video, show us some love and like this video. Knowledge increases by sharing, so make sure you share this video with your friends and colleagues. Make sure to comment on this video any queries or suggestions, and I will respond to your comments.